Could Europe actually defend itself without the United States? It's a question that's been whispered for decades, but now it's being shouted from the rooftops, with the political winds shifting in America and a massive conflict raging on Europe's eastern border. This isn't just a thought experiment anymore. It's a very real, very urgent problem. So let's break it down. What would happen if Europe had to stand alone against a threat like Russia? For over 70 years, the security of Europe has been built on one massive pillar: the United States and the NATO alliance. The American military umbrella, with its unparalleled firepower, logistics, and intelligence, has allowed many European nations to spend less on their own defense. Think of it like a group project where one person does most of the work. It's efficient, but what happens when that person decides they want to work on something else? Let's get real about the numbers. The US military budget is colossal. It's larger than the next 10 countries' defense budgets combined. European NATO members collectively do spend a lot on defense, more than Russia, in fact. But here's the catch: that spending is fragmented. It's 20+ different armies, navies, and air forces, each with their own equipment, their own standards, and their own command structures. Imagine trying to build a single Lego castle with 20 different instruction manuals and incompatible bricks. That's the challenge. The United States provides critical capabilities that Europe currently lacks on a continental scale. We're talking about things like strategic airlift, the giant C-17, Globe Master planes that can move tanks and troops across the world in days. Europe has some, like the A400M, but not nearly enough to sustain a major conflict. Then there's aerial refueling, spy satellites, advanced drones, and of course, the nuclear deterrent. America's nuclear arsenal is the ultimate security guarantee for many NATO allies. Now, let's turn our attention to the other side of the equation: Russia. The war in Ukraine has been a brutal reality check. On one hand, the Russian military has shown shocking incompetence, logistical nightmares, and staggering losses of equipment and personnel. Their initial plan for a swift victory failed spectacularly. This has led some to believe that Russia is a paper tiger, far less of a threat than once feared. But that's a dangerously simplistic view. Russia has adapted. It has transitioned its economy to a war footing, churning out artillery shells, drones, and missiles at a pace that has surprised the West. They've learned from their mistakes on the battlefield and are willing to accept casualties on a scale that most Western democracies would find unimaginable. And let's not forget, Russia remains a nuclear superpower. While their conventional forces might have been battered, their strategic arsenal is still a game changer. So, if the US were to step back, where would that leave Europe? The immediate challenge would be unity. Can Germany, France, Poland, Italy, and the UK, among others, agree on a unified defense strategy and, more importantly, pay for it? For years, most NATO members failed to meet the 2% of GDP defense spending target. That's changing, but it's a slow and expensive process. France and the UK both have capable militaries and their own independent nuclear deterrence. Germany is in the middle of a Zeitenwende, a historic turning point, massively increasing its defense spending. Poland has become a military powerhouse on the eastern flank, buying cutting-edge equipment from the US and South Korea. These are positive steps. But it's not just about buying more tanks and planes. It's about integration. Europe would need to build a unified command structure, standardize its equipment, and pool its resources in a way it has never done before. Who leads this force? Where does the funding come from? How do you get 27 countries to agree on when and how to use military force? These are tough political questions with no easy answers. Let's consider a hypothetical scenario. Russia launches an attack on a Baltic state, say Lithuania. Could the combined forces of Germany, France, Poland, and others mobilize quickly enough to repel the invasion? They would be facing immense logistical hurdles. Moving heavy brigades across the continent without American airlift would be a slow, arduous process. And what about the air war? European air forces are formidable with advanced jets like the Eurofighter Typhoon and the Rafale, but they would be heavily reliant on their own limited number of refueling tankers and surveillance aircraft. Maintaining air superiority over a vast front would be a monumental task without the US Air Force. The sheer scale is the problem. Europe has the quality, but America provides the quantity and the enabling capabilities that make it all work together. Ultimately, the biggest deficit might not be in hardware, but in leadership and political will. The NATO alliance has been so successful because American leadership provided a clear direction and a security backstop. Without that, old rivalries and different national interests within Europe could come to the surface, paralyzing decision-making at the critical moment. So, can Europe defend itself without America? The honest answer is not right now, but the question is forcing a long overdue conversation. Europe is waking up to the reality that it can no longer outsource its security. The journey to strategic autonomy will be long, expensive, and politically difficult. It will require a level of unity and commitment that has been elusive in the past. But the potential is there. The combined economic and industrial might of Europe is enormous. If that power were truly harnessed towards a common defense, Europe could absolutely become a formidable military force in its own right. It wouldn't be a replacement for the US, but a stronger, more capable partner. The coming years will show whether Europe is truly ready to step out from under the American shadow and take responsibility for its own destiny. The clock is ticking. Thanks for watching. If you found this breakdown interesting, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into geopolitics and defense. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Can Europe do it? I'm curious to hear what you think. See you next time.